we made 5,007 horsepower, period. He came in, he put his hand on it, he goes, this is real. Tons of questions about this car right here. Now, is it fact or is it fiction? The Devel 16. Here's my part in the whole deal. Well, Joe wasn't here. He was, how old were you in 2014?
2014, I was 13 years old.
He was 13 years old, so he was still just screwing stuff up at the shop.
Yeah. I actually do remember working on this engine, though. I helped you put the cylinder heads on,
Did you?
I helped you put the valve train in it, yes. I
cool.
specifically remember that.
That's a heck of a dad.
Yeah.
Heck of a dad.
13-year-olds helping.
13-year-old, yes. 13-year-old working on the Devel 16.
Yeah.
So I thought we would go through, because I get these questions all the time. And it's like, all right, you know what? Let's go through and let's actually go right from the beginning. I'll talk to you, and they're going to ask questions because he was here, but he was only 13, 14. Joe wasn't here. And ask questions and tell you everything from how it all transpired, where it's all at now, what the deal is with the engine, how it was made, how it was built, everything. We have pictures, documentation, because way back in the day, my YouTube skills were below average.
I don't know. I'd say
now I'm slightly above
entry
average.
level.
I don't even know if it was entry level. I think I was below entry level.
You have to watch the video and see.
You have to watch the video and see. Go down, you click the link, and you can see one of the very first videos I ever did on this. It even made me laugh. Let's start right out from the beginning. So how did we even get contact about this? Why did it even start on this? So there's three brothers, the Devel 16 group. They're in Dubai. They contact me and say, can you build a 5,000 horsepower V16? Freaking right I can. So this is way back in the beginning. I said, sure. Yep, I can do it. But not ever thinking that they were serious. And then all of a sudden they send me and my Alex, the guy that was working for me, with me, to tickets to go to Dubai. It's like, oh, all right, well, that's cool. They bring us over there. We look at all their stuff. I have a ton of funny stories we do not have time for right now about Dubai, the brothers, everything that's there. Funny / interesting / no freaking way / wow, that's amazing. Wow, you should be dead. I mean, stuff like that. Okay. So one of the reasons why, because of all that crazy stuff, because of how it all happened, we go over there, we talk about it, they end up pulling the trigger on it. I give them a quote on it, and I'm like, okay, cool. The reason why we're doing this video is because I get so many crazy requests. A, number one thing, yes, I can build more. B, no, I can't do it for $100,000. C, I definitely can't do it for $50,000. And it is way more if you actually need to ask what the price is for this particular one. For these, you can't afford it, okay? It's nothing personal. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but people don't understand what's all involved in this thing. So they gave me a criteria. Here is the criteria they gave me. We want it to be a V16, and we want it to make 5,000 horsepower. That was all the criteria I got. That was it. Build an engine. Okay. Well, all right, let me go through, start working through the process of how I want to do this. And so I did. So I started out with, which is an interesting story. So I started thinking about the process, and it's like, okay, well, there's people that hack and cut and weld things together, and that is not what we're doing. We're not building some bullcrap prototype welded together thing that never runs and never makes any horsepower. We have to prove it out. We have to make the horsepower. Did we make 5,000 horsepower? We made 5,007 horsepower, period. Mtron software. In fact, Scott from Mtron was here tuning it himself. He said it made 5,000 horsepower. He goes, okay, even if we're 10% off. Well, oh my gosh, you guys are 10% too high. What a bunch of bullcrap. It still made 4,500 horsepower.
Yeah.
Even if you're 10% off, even if you're 20% off. I mean, it's still a running. I mean, so it's just those kind of arguments are kind of bogus bullcrap. So one of the first places that I started out at was, it's like, okay, I think we're going to be able to do this. Let's do it with some form of, because of packaging wise, they did give me a basic window that they wanted it to be in. So I couldn't go too wide, could not do like a Coyote based overhead cam, really wide engine. They couldn't fit it. They needed something more narrow. So, okay, no problem. Now, they just gave me the requirements. We need it to make 5,000 horsepower. Well, I'm going to build something that I'm familiar with, I understand, and can start with. I'm not going to try to reinvent a W16 engine, the Bugatti deal, you know, Volkswagen. I'm not going to try to reinvent that wheel. No point. It's like, okay, brute force horsepower. Period. That's what they want. Brute force 5,000 horsepower.
From a push rod, like God intended.
From the push rods of God. God slams the push rod down.
We ain't do no overhead cams here. No way.
No overhead. Anyways, so I was just starting out from what I thought I knew, and I thought, okay, we can do this in some kind of LS-ish form, because we're making 2,500 horsepower LSs, 2,000, 2,500 horsepower all the time. That's not really a big deal. Doable. And so it's like, okay, let's start. I'm starting to talk to people. Nobody really wants to work with me. Now, today, as of today, I can 100% make the block, cylinder heads, everything in-house. We can do everything in-house. At that time, I had to farm stuff out. So I wanted to do it on some kind of LS-based architecture, just for simplicity. And I am not a reinvent the wheel on everything. I wanted to have some common parts, easily accessible parts. For example, a piston, which ironically enough, I have spare pistons right there from 2014. Show you the tag right here. So for instance, pistons, for a good example. So I wanted to have common piston, a common connecting rod. I wanted to have common valve train parts, stuff that I knew worked, something that I knew was functional, something that I knew was easily fixable, replaceable. So why reinvent and come up with some square bore, oval shaped, whatever piston? That wasn't ever the point. The point was make 5,000 horsepower. Period. It wasn't be the most efficient. It wasn't do this, do that. It was make 5,000 horsepower. Period. Okay, so that's what I did. So I don't reinvent the wheel on a lot of things. I didn't reinvent the wheel on the SMX. I didn't reinvent the wheel on the SML. I just made it better, I think. I like to say that. Makes sense.
And the LS platform just itself is a pretty narrow V8.
It's a pretty narrow V8,
in comparison to most other V8s.
Yes, yeah. So, but I wanted to do some other architecture and stuff. So one of the things that I wanted to do that I thought you would find pretty neat was quite literally one of the first things as we started drawing and working with a buddy of mine actually on drawing the CAD, and I'm processing it all out and thinking how we're going to make things work. one of the interesting things that we did right in the beginning was I bought 2 LS3 engines, crate LS3 engines. Okay. I dynoed them both, and they both made within like 5 horsepower of each other. And it's like, okay, cool. I think they made like, I think they're the 525 horsepower version. I think they made 505 or something like that. And so then I said, I want to couple them together. So it'd be like a V-16. So this is just to test something. Now this is what I'm talking about testing. So I wanted to couple them together, couple them front to back, like you would in a tractor puller or something like that, directly together. In fact, I still have the dyno stuff here to do all that with. And, but I started thinking about firing orders, and that I wanted this engine to fire instead of once every 90 degrees. In this V-16, it was going to smoothly run at one cylinder firing at different spots in the engine every 45 degrees. So it is a smooth running engine, has smoother power. So we're not just like, it's just not 2 separate V8 engines sitting there, chunking along.
You're not
This
firing
is
2 plugs.
not firing 2 plugs at the same time, not doing anything. It is firing a separate cylinder every 45 degrees. And so I actually sat down with a piece of paper, and I just sat there and I drew out 16 cylinders, and I just sat there and drew out and looked at how crankshaft had to be designed, how everything had to be done to figure out, okay, I think we're going to need this in order to make everything work, this firing order, and then it needs to be indexed in this orientation for a 1-piece billet crankshaft, like this spare 1-piece billet crankshaft, and have to do all that. So I had a custom camshaft ground for one of the LSs. The other LS used a standard standard firing order, and then I had a custom firing order for what I called the front engine. And then when we coupled them together, I figured out which indexing it was to make them reference the 2 crankshafts so it would fire 45 degrees. So it would go, I'd have to show the math, but it would go like 1, 8, 4, 6, 10, 12, 16, 20. It was going back and forth instead of just like bang, 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 bang. It was very smooth and actually was logical and made sense.
That part is very interesting, that you actually coupled 2 LS engines together and ran them on one firing order.
1 ECU,
Yeah.
one firing order. And that's why we got involved with Mtron, because they were able to run 16 cylinders. He made custom software for me to run 16 cylinders, 16 individual coils, 16 individual injectors. The coils is actually the bigger part, not firing 2 at the same time. And so I'll backtrack a little bit. So after I made the custom camshaft with a different firing order, and so keep in mind, you can change firing orders inside an engine, just like you can put 1843657 you can do a 7/4 swap or LS swap. So there's multiple arrangements you can do and still fire cylinders differently. And so I had the camshaft made, tested it in the motor. It still made the exact same horsepower with a different firing order. It's like, sweet. So then I coupled the engines. Yep. Then I coupled the engines together. This one made 505. This one made like 504, 500, whatever. And when I put them together and ran them, it's one unit with 1 ECU, one ECU. Oh no, I'm sorry. I did not do it that way. I ran it. We were still using the Holley right then, and we ran it 2 Holley systems, but I ran 1 single crank trigger and fired both Holley Dominator boxes. So so they got one cam signal and 1 crank signal, and ran 2 boxes off of it and ran 2 engines, and I put the exact same tune in both of them.
Interesting.
Yeah. And lo and behold, a coupled engine at 500, this round numbers, 500 and 500 actually makes about 1,020. It does make slightly more than double, which I'm really then thinking about, okay, it's all because of the firing orders and how things are working. And so that's how I started working on that. So that led to, okay, cool. So I understand how the crankshaft is basically going to work. So how are we going to make the block? So if you look at some pictures here, so I don't have a block here. I can obviously make one, but I think I would actually remake it again. So this picture. So you can see here, some buddies of mine that had a big shop actually were helping me with the CAD work and helping me design stuff and then helping me to machine it. It is not two LS blocks just merged together. It is astronomically harder than what you think in order to just merge something together. You do not get into a SolidWorks program or whatever program you're using, and there's not a button that you hit that goes merge V8 blocks. Okay, it doesn't work that way. So we had to figure out things all the way down to spacing and where are you going to put the thrust bearing. How do I put this, because I got to design this rough block before I can do the crankshaft, and then I design the crankshaft and then go back into the block and make sure everything's going to fit. So I didn't want to put the thrust bearing in the back. Now, where is the thrust bearing on an LS crank? Center of the engine, right here. This is a stock thrust bearing. If this was just a V8 crank, which obviously it's not, this would be a thrust bearing. So I could have put something here, but I did have this area right here where it's like, okay, I need to figure out on the block and the crankshaft where I want to put this thrust bearing. I didn't want to do it right here. I needed to have some more room in between the block because at the time I didn't have the resources and couldn't get anybody on board to make a V-16 head. So here is the only part that is put together. Okay, so if you ever look at big diesel engines, a lot of engines like that, especially in long engines, very common that they do multiple heads. They don't do one long cylinder head. I can make one long cylinder head now, and I probably would make one long cylinder head because I can repair, we can do everything with them now. That really wouldn't be a big deal. But at the time, I couldn't even get anybody to wrap their head around it. These guys didn't want to build cylinder heads. They had no clue how to do that. They were, more than happy to try helping me make the block with, a year's worth of, almost 2 years worth of work getting the block done. But, they were just CNC guys. They didn't understand what was going on with the rest of it. So I needed to have cylinder heads that I wanted to use custom billet LS heads and put them together to share water, share a common valve cover, share a common intake manifold.
You know what I just thought of? Is I have a set of those heads at my house.
You do. You have the original set.
I have the original set.
One set of original heads. Yes. Long story short, I needed some more space in the middle because I knew that I was going to use 4 individual heads. I didn't want to reinvent that wheel. I always knew that somehow I could come back and I could redesign this to be a little bit different. This is the prototype. All right. It needed to make 5,000 horsepower. So I said, I need more space there. I said, you know what? One thing I want to do on this is I don't want to use a LS main. I'm going to use big block Chevrolet main diameter. So even bigger than a Cleveland. Is it bigger than Cleveland?
Same size as Cleveland.
It is the same size as Cleveland. Oh, Cleveland size, but did it in a big block Chevrolet because I wanted,
Thrust bearing is a standard.
Because this thrust bearing right in the middle is a standard big block Chevrolet rear thrust bearing. Right here. Now, in no way, shape, or form, this is one piece of billet steel. There is nothing welded together. There is no 2 crankshafts I magically married together there. This was cut from one piece of material. And if you notice, we'll show this, Nate, is that you can tell there's something going on here because this journal, every journal would be in a cross plane is 90 degrees apart from each other. Is this one 90 degrees from that?
That was one thing I was
It is
noticing
not.
looking at it. It's pretty
Yes.
wild to see.
Yes, it is. They are not 90 degrees from each other. So these two are 90, these two are 90, and then goes up into here, which ends up being into 45. So this is 45. This would be 45. So everything else from here to this mate is 45. From this mate to this mate is 45.
That's
Hence, firing 45 degrees.
Hence firing
Right.
every 45 degrees.
Yep.
Okay. And it gave me the room to be able to put the two cylinder heads together, gave me my thrust bearing location, gave me my thrust bearing. So wasn't trying to like remake bearings. I actually used a LS bearing on the connecting rod, which I would change now, and a big block Chevrolet on the main.
Now, did you have to narrow the?
Well, you'd use
I did narrow these, yes.
You narrowed them, or you just used a Cleveland?
No, I
And then
narrowed them
one
because
big block Chevy
the
thrust.
tangs are in the tangs are in the
Oh,
big block
that's right.
Chevrolet size. So as you can see here, so then the next part is, so it is a mid-sleeve design, which leads into the cylinder heads. I'm not preferential to the mid-sleeve stuff. My SMXs are not mid-sleeve. They're not as strong. They are not as good as the setup we have in the SMLs or SMXs, period. The mid sleeves are nice, they work good, but they will move. Why do you think they move, or what do you think it is about these that move in a mid sleeve?
Well, I mean, the block is growing, and the expansion rate is different between that and the sleeve.
Uh-huh.
Moving up and down, or
No. There is no material
Oh, between
in the cylinders. It is a open cavity that you
Right.
just pop sleeves in, poop, poop, poop. And then when you put head gaskets on it, the head itself and whatever you're using to seal it is actually holding the sleeves from moving like this.
I didn't notice it was open, and
Yeah,
so
that's all mid-sleeve
yeah.
designs are all open like that. That's why I
Yeah.
don't like doing those in LSs. I don't like doing them in anything. So, but back then I didn't know any better, and we are trying to figure it out. So it was a mid-sleeve design, big block Chevrolet, mains, and then still used a 55 millimeter core camshaft. So the camshaft is really quite cool too. This is the hydraulic roller version. All right. This camshaft ran in it. This camshaft made 4,500 horsepower. Now you might ask, how does it make so much horsepower? Not trying to get people distracted from it, but in all practicality, it is two engines. It is 16 cylinders. So I'll make it at 4,000 horsepower. That's just like a 2,000 horsepower LS. Nobody even gives a crap about 2,000 horsepower LSs. That's like everybody thinks that should just be normal now. So this was not, but in all practicality, it was basically 16 cylinders. We were making X amount of horsepower per cylinder.
Dividing it.
And now we divide it out, and we're doing it smoother, better, because we're at 45 degree firing angles, not firing two cylinders at the same time, nothing like that.
That's probably one of the most impressive parts of this whole thing, is that you're able to get it to run that smooth on all 16 cylinders. When you were talking about clocking the two engines together, I thought you were going to say both paired together made less than 1,000. If they both make 500, it actually made more.
They actually make more
because you figured out the firing order and how to get it to run smooth and actually work.
I think so.
I mean,
I think so.
It makes sense if you think about it, because if we got more combustion events per rotation of the crankshaft, it would have to make more power, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, now that leads up to it's common questions about the crankshaft, common questions about the camshaft, that people just don't understand how things really work. But we can go up to the cylinder heads first. Now you notice here on the cylinder head picture, ding, all right, on that cylinder head picture, that all the holes here. Now the cylinder heads, these cylinder heads actually were done for me by Chris Franks. So Frankenstein Engineering, and took forever to get these things too. So we did have to modify them so they would fit together in the middle, and they look like one cylinder head when they were together. Outside of, you could see that there was a extra thick portion, an extra thick area there, which is all because of the thrust bearing in the center of the engine. So you look here at that one, and it looks like single. Okay, single head, but it is actually two heads. So he had to make that. And then how he did it was in the
Well, not two
this
heads
is
welded together.
no, they're not welded together. They were separate. We kept them separate because it doesn't need to be together. This is for serviceability, just like they do in big diesel stuff, locomotives. They all have like pair cylinder heads. Detroit diesels I believe have pair cylinder heads.
Yeah, it's like 3 and 3.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But see all these holes around here? So it was really overcomplicated. This entire deck surface is weld. Those holes, so what he did was he cut this all out, had a water jacket behind here, and then welded in a plate over the whole top of it. So the water went up around the sleeves and into the cylinder head, and it was all welded up in there. It's a complicated.
Wish we had pictures of that.
It is absolutely not the way I would do it now. Now I would do a V-16 version of my SML, or if somebody really wants to be Billy Bad Boy, we'll do a V-16 version of my SMX.
10,000 horsepower.
Yeah, so we know how to make that all work. Oh, I don't know. and keep in mind this was 4 turbos. So how do you make all that horsepower? There's 4 turbos on it. Okay, it's moving air. It moves a boatload of air.
They're 476s, right?
No, 81s.
81.
4 81mm turbos. 4. That makes a lot of air. Okay, so the heads were pretty complicated, but they're still basically LS7 based cylinder head. That I tried to keep common. Used LS7 valve, used LS7 rockers, just trying to make that common, easy. Used LS or a solid 904 lifter. We did a 904 hydraulic. I don't remember who made those. What they did. Ooh. Anyways, can't remember that right off the top of my head. So that first version of the engine was this hydraulic roller, and they said, hey, it made 4,500 horsepower. That's cool. We want to make 5. Okay. Said what really needs to happen here is I probably need to change camshaft and put more camshaft in this thing because I wanted to get more RPM, and basically I just needed to move more air. So I said basically we really should do this in a solid roller. So we did a solid roller camshaft for it, redynoed it, and it made 5,007 horsepower. Once we made it to there, we just stopped. It would make more.
What do you think it would make?
Oh, probably around 6,000. I think it'd probably make around 6,000.
Just more RPM, more boost?
More boost. So now, interesting thing. So that we made designed the intake manifold. If you look at that intake manifold with the 2, there's all the Gesso valve train, cylinder head. You see the cylinder head picture here. Sorry, go backwards a little bit, and you can see on that picture where it's missing the end because we made them as to be conjoined pairs. And it was let's see here. That was also this was my first block. That is a 1-piece main cap. Sorry, that is not a Y block. That is a 1-piece main cap.
Much like the Lamborghini stuff that we
Much like the Lamborghini stuff, yeah. So way back then, I had made this 1-piece main cap. So it is a 42-inch long. So the engine was 42 inches long. I think it was. It was either 42 inches long or 46. But it is a 1-piece main cap. It's bad.
Wow. So that would
then it's bolted all the way through. So it's bolted through the big holes there, down, and then the small holes didn't actually do anything. So it had a 1/2-inch main stud. Oh yeah, the whole skirt, the whole cap's that tall, and this long and wide. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I kind
And line
forgot about
honing that.
oh,
I mean,
the mandrel. So the engine is just. I think the engine is just slightly longer than the mandrel,
yeah.
which actually isn't a problem. It actually is beneficial because anything that gets line honed, the end caps are the ones that get hit the most because the mandrel's never out of it. So it actually line hones pretty well. So yeah, did that. We built the intake manifold here, and if you notice, even though it's a twin inlet, we designed that here, calculated out, figured intake runner length, which is probably a little short, and intake plenum volume, which is probably a little big, but we're hunting for the big horsepower number. We did all that here, and it has whose general shape intake manifold is that?
It's ours.
That is ours. This will get everybody's panties bunched up. 2012, I designed that style intake manifold, which is now the common SMX manifold. Everybody duplicates my same manifold, to tell you the truth. In Sean's Custom Alloy, wasn't doing those until I had him start making intake manifolds for me. Then he goes, hey, do you mind if I use your whole design? I don't care, whatever. Then other people have called me up and said, hey, only one other person called me up and says, hey, do you mind if we actually use what it looks like, your design? I said, I don't care. Everybody's going to steal it anyways. And everybody does.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's no big deal. Everything looks like mine, but mine was the very first intake manifold. Otherwise, everything from there forward or before that it was fugly. They were just
Big boxes.
buggy. Yeah, it was just ugly or flat. And it's like, no, I want to have it go up against the roof. I want air to go up and then come down like this and not just in and over, Anyways, that's a pet peeve of mine. I have an extra manifold lid here. I think we're going to do like a giveaway on it or something. Yeah, it's over there. You want to go get it? Huh? It's over in the scrap bin. Scrap stuff.
It's in the scrap
It's
pile.
in the scrap pile.
It's been there for 10
It's been there
years,
for 10
11
years. Yep. So, I mean, one of the common problems or common questions that people have, you can see all these pictures here with of the complete engine, valve train. We're making the things that we could make here, valve covers, the intake manifold we made here. You can see the CAD on the cylinder head here. And that's what really confused people and made people think that it was just a welded together piece or, two engines just put together. It wasn't. It was just 4 cylinder heads because that was a practical way of doing it. Common issues or not issues, no issue problem that people think is a problem is everybody seems to think for some reason that you can't have a crankshaft that long because it's going to try to twist itself apart because it makes so much horsepower.
Not if you got the firing order right.
Thank you. That is correct. That is not the way it works in the world of physics. Okay, the only place that would end up having a pretty significant amount of load in it is only at the flange. So because the crankshaft is only providing power at every 45 degrees, one cylinder is firing every 45 degrees. So it really doesn't matter where it is firing. The entire crankshaft only has one firing cycle. So it's pushing, loosely paraphrased, it's like pushing down here, then pushing down there, pushing down here. And they're all over the place, like this. There's no way that it is trying to like twist itself apart. That's just not the way it works. It's equal but separate loading. I don't know. See, this is one thing I'll tell you is that I am not a trained engineer. I did not go to school for engineering. I just think about stuff and try to figure it out. The same as what anybody can do. Anybody. You guys can figure out how to do this stuff. Just some critical thinking and
Practical engineer.
Practical engineer. Just
What do we call that? It's called Steve CAD. Steve CAD is the pen and a piece of paper.
And piece of paper.
Figure it out.
Yeah, we'll just figure it out. Well, yeah. So then we build it, screw it up, break it, and refigure out how to do it better.
That's the way to learn.
Yeah, that's how we learn. Okay, so this is the manifold type, the very first one we made, and made it so thin right here because we didn't have it all figured out how to machine something this big. I didn't have nearly the machinery that I got now, and it actually, I think at like 20 some odd pounds of boost, it lifted and separated because it was so thin right here. See how thin it is? So I think we'll do some kind of giveaway on this thing.
Pull it back a little bit.
Later. It's sharper than all holy heck. There's it fit in the frame now. And yeah, we'll run it through the hot tank, clean it. I think we'll polish it and make it look cool. All right, Nate, take that thing away. Then the same thing with camshafts. Camshafts do not twist front to back. They just don't. That's not the well. Within reason, I might amend that just a little bit, but in general, they really don't do that because there's always when the lobe that it's coming up on is causing the twisting motion, but the lobe that it just got done coming down on and is pushing it the other way is offsetting. Okay, so you can have a little bit of twist, but normally it is more of a deflection thing.
It's probably less. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's probably less with that many lobes and that many valve
Well,
springs.
I think it's all doing
all
the
the
same
same-
thing, yeah, because it still is all these weird firing orders that are.
Rather than like a V4, it would have so few lobes. It would have like
Oh yeah, then
pressure more
yeah.
kind of. It's like more evenly dispersed across the whole camshaft.
Yep.
Because of all the extra lobes.
Yep. I think somebody will probably want to fight me on this one about the camshaft thing, but
Just leave it at this. Could be wrong.
there's a 15% chance that it might
15%
15% chance I might be partially wrong on it.
That's pretty good. 15%.
Yeah.
I mean,
On the crankshaft, I'm not wrong. I know that's just not the correct physics on it. So that gets us basically through the engine design. So now we have, with 4 turbos, four sets of headers. I mean, it is pretty entailed, but it was really pretty darn cool. Like I said, had Scott from Mtron come here, very high end EFI system like Motec. Scott probably be mad if I said it was like Motec. It's better than Motec. There you go.
oh, now the Motec guys.
Now the
mad.
Motec
Oh
guys
my
are going to be
goodness.
mad. I'm not saying anything. It's not better than Motec. It's just trying to help Scott out. But anyways, so we ran it. Everything's cool. It made that 5,000 horsepower. Now some interesting stuff then started happening, because then all the internet trolls are out there going, "This is impossible. It never happened." You know, we did not learn about this at band camp, and I don't think it's possible. Okay, so then all those kind of haters came out, and so all of a sudden I had gotten a call from Motor Trend magazine that said, "We hear that you've done this, and the Devel 16 car is all in the news because the brothers are pushing it and trying to do something with it." And keep in mind, I'm just on the engine side. I own the intellectual property for the engine. I own that. That is mine. That is contractual. I own it. I own production rights. I own everything on the billet V-16 engine that we can duplicate and run if we ever wanted to, for a lot of money. A lot of money. It's still not cheap. You're looking at a 25, 30. It's probably right now, because that was 10 plus years ago. That's probably more like a $30,000 crankshaft
Now.
Yeah. Okay, and that's a $5,000 camshaft. Okay, so I mean, there's $35,000 right here, and that's nothing. Okay, so anyways, so Motor Trend got a hold of us. They sent one of their writers here, and they did an article, and they said, "Wow, this is a real deal." Yeah, it is. He looked at it, took pictures of it, they put it online, they did the whole deal. So that was pretty interesting. But the one that really got me was
Is it Motor Trend or Road and Track?
Motor Trend. Was it
Motor
Motor Trend? No, I'm sorry. Maybe it was Road and Track.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it says Road and Track right on one of these pictures.
Maybe it's Road and Track. It wasn't Motor Trend. Now that you say that, it's Road and Track.
It was.
Yeah, it's
it was
probably Road and Track.
I know.
All right. So then, one of the things that the brothers, then they were starting to figure out, all right, cool, man, we got this engine. We need to really build this car because they really didn't have much of a car at that time. Okay. What is all out there now? I haven't ever seen anything since, so I don't know. Okay. But they hired a company out of Italy, and the company was Manifattura Automobilia Torino.
Torino's easy enough.
Torino is easy enough. Yeah, Automobilia,
Automobili.
Automobili, Torino.
Automobili.
Yeah, Automobili. Okay. Anyways, and so they sent. The guy's name was Gino. Gino, forgive me if you happen to watch this. I'm sure you don't, but Musacado, something like that. Forgive
Some
me.
Italian name.
Some Italian name. And so this guy is the R&D engineer or lead engineer at that time, or I think he still is, for this company, and they're doing work with Pagani, Ferrari, Lamborghini, all the Italian companies. They do subcontract work and they do things. And he came here because they were going to try to subcontract them to help them with the car. Now, the goals and aspirations of the car, that's their deal, that's their thing. But me and this Gino guy were right on track with each other. So he comes in and we had the engine sitting here, and the first thing he goes is he puts his hand on it and he goes, Alex remembers this better than I did. Alex doesn't work here anymore, but you remember, he goes, he came in, he put his hand on it, he goes, this is real, in his little Italian accent. And I go, yeah. And and so the first thing he says, he goes, so you built this? I said, yeah, I built this. And he goes, so who did all the engineering? Where is your engineering staff? And he's looking around. And I go,
You're looking at it.
you're looking at him and piece of paper, and I get people to draw it and do what I'm thinking of. And he's going, wow. And I was very, very happy. I mean, he was impressed. And he goes, the thing that always impressed me the most was, he goes, this is I understand. And he's looking at it, he says, looks at turbo size, he's looking at air, he's understanding what's going on in the engine, and he goes, yeah, okay. He says, very impressive. And he goes, this kind of engine program, he goes, how much do you charge him? I tell him how much I charge him to do it all. And he goes, this kind of engine program, if we had Volkswagen do this, he says, this is like a $20 million engine program. That was 10 years ago. He goes, this is like $20 million to get a prototype like this out of Volkswagen. And I go, it was a whole lot less than that. It's astronomically less than that. Astronomically less than that. I was really impressed with that. And he left, and well, before he left, we were talking about the whole thing. He goes, you understand that this is, oh, he did ask me, he goes, do you have cooling numbers, flow rates numbers, heat dispersions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? I said, nope. I'll figure it out though. And so he goes, oh, okay. He goes, well, there's programs we could probably help you figure that all out. And he says, we have a staff of engineers that could help figure out the next steps in this. Okay, that's cool. If it ever goes to that next step of making it even more than just horsepower. Remember, I'm hired to make horsepower. And I know that it would have cooled, and I know that it would have been, everything was actually fully functional. If you can keep almost anything cool if you have enough radiator in the car. If your car cannot stay cool, I don't care what kind of car it is, it doesn't have enough cooling system. It doesn't have any problem with the engine. The only thing that would ever have a problem with the engine is if the engine got hot but the cooling system was cold.
Yeah.
Then that would be an engine problem. But I know that this wouldn't have that problem. So anyways, he's also said he goes, that this is just totally impractical. Yes, sir.
No kidding.
No
Right.
kidding. I
That's
know
the
it's
point.
totally impractical. That's his point. I was hired to make 5,000 horsepower V-16. That's it. And he goes, very impressive, but this is totally impractical. It's not needed. And so he shows me the math, and he goes, this is how much horsepower it takes. He says, it does not take 5,000 horsepower to go 350 mile an hour. It doesn't take 3,000 horsepower to go 350 mile an hour. I think he told me, in certain weight car's good, blah, blah, blah. Gave me the actual math. He says it only takes 1,800 some odd horsepower to go 350 in a real car. I think those are the numbers. So don't hold me to that. It might be a little bit off, but I know it wasn't even remotely close. It was way under. I thought it was under 2,000. It's definitely way under 3,000. So it might have been 2,100 or
Well, I
something.
mean, the Streamliner guys, they're going
Oh,
almost
the Streamliner.
500 miles
Yeah,
an
so
hour.
the Streamliner. So right over there in that room is going to be, Lord willing, the world's fastest piston-powered car. Not a V16. It could have been, but it's a V8 car, and it is only going to take 3,000, about 30. It's going to take somewhere in the neighborhood of about 3,200 horsepower to go 550 mile an hour. Is 550? 500 mile an hour.
Something like that.
Whatever.
Because
Okay,
I thought
that part's not in my realm. That's somebody else's business. But we make power. You tell me what we need to do, and then we'll make that happen. And it's your baby after that. So you need to figure that out, which is what they're doing. So that whole Streamliner thing right there is really cool. Got lots of good video on that, and we're gonna be redying on that here pretty quick. If you want to see more about that. So felt really good about that. Then we ended up taking this to the PRI show. And Joe saw this at the PRI show long before he worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
that
was
probably,
stunned.
yep, he was stunned. Oh,
Really was. And I was really excited to be there. I think that was the second year I'd ever gone to the PRI show. And I just happened to stumble upon that thing, not really hearing much about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is incredible.
Yep.
There was this engine, and then there was the V12 version.
Oh yeah, you saw the V12. Somebody had. So what was all V12 version?
So from my understanding, that was basically what we've been explaining that this is not. Just a bunch of engine blocks that were cut up, pieced together, and as well as cylinder heads, and welded together and turned into a V12.
Different deal.
Yeah, this when I saw this, I'm like, not only is it 16 cylinders instead of 12, this is a billet one block. This is one billet head per side. This is,
Oh,
it was pretty
we hit
exciting.
the head thing pretty well because it was 2 heads per side. But yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we just talked about that.
Oh, well, no. What I mean is not like sliced up cat.
Oh yeah. Oh, I got you.
know.
Yeah. Not pieced together stuff. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, one of my other that Gino guy from Italy complimenting the engine, the road and track guy complimenting the engine and putting it out there, and then when we were at the PRI show, obviously people were impressed with it. Some people just thought it was fake, but couldn't believe that it was already running and that we'd already made 5,000 horsepower with it, and they were like, people just don't believe or didn't understand. Of course, there's a lot of bull crap out there. There's a lot of things like people cutting and welding and putting things together, and they make this deal, and it's like, okay, cool. So how much horsepower did it make? Is it running? Is it done? Well, no, it's just like the concept. I did it. Well, I mean, that's cool. I mean, that's neat that you made it all happen and did that. But the next level is you got to make it work and run. Now, the fact that this is never made it in the car, as I understand it, I don't know what's all going on there. From there on, when I delivered the engine, things have just kind of gone dark from there. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I know that I would like to build more of these. They are, they're just astronomically expensive and they're pretty impractical. But I don't think there's much of a market for these really in. I think there would be in Streamliner thing, but we don't need to make that much horsepower. So that's kind of a moot point. I think the natural place for these is probably in big power boat stuff. And there is a company after I did all this that had come out and has made a cast version of a V16, which is much more oriented towards the that is definitely much more oriented towards lower horsepower stuff. And they have, I think that's a 2-cylinder head deal too. Definitely has 2 intake manifolds because they'll put 2 intake manifolds on it, one facing forward, one facing backwards. That's what I saw, which is all fine. I mean, that's all cool. It's a different platform than what my stuff is, and different from what I would build it in the next round version, which would just be more bulletproof, going for more horsepower. Even though we don't have enough dyno for like 6,000 horsepower. Barely have enough dyno for 5,000 horsepower. Shut up, Nick.
We're gonna have
It's
a
just-
V-16 dyno.
Oh my gosh, we're not. If somebody wants to pay for that, we can make something happen. I'm sure, but
We already talked about adding a third dyno room anyway, so
yeah,
you know, the break room.
yeah. So, but when we were at the PRI show, another engine builder that I respect is Tony Bischoff, and Bischoff came over and he's looking at it and he's going, "You built this? All darn right, I built this." He goes, "You're a bad mother trucker." Didn't say trucker. So I remember that. I thought it was very nice of him. And so I think that takes us to where we are now. I don't know what's going on in the car. It sure would be cool. It'd be neat. Really totally impractical. Probably never really gonna. There's no need to ever have. I think 3,000 horsepower in any car that, I don't care how good the car is a astronomical number. Not of any way, shape, or form usable. Hardly in any application. I don't. Streamliner maybe. I think
But I
that's
mean,
about
they're-
it. It ain't.
They're monitoring the throttle on that thing almost the entire run as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
on
they're not using 3,000 horsepower from.
Oh no, the 3,000 horsepower is for the, or 3,200 horsepower, so it's for the last 7 or 8 seconds.
Yeah.
All the rest of the time is accelerating, trying to go, and just gradually building and building and building. And oh, did you know it takes? This is an interesting note. Do you know how long it takes to do the last mile?
Oh, was it like 15 seconds or something? Like,
I'm gonna guess 12 seconds.
Nah, I think I figured it out. It's like 7.8.
wow.
7.8 seconds
Holy
to go
crap.
the last mile.
7.8 miles per second. No.
No.
Second. How many miles?
1 mile, I don't know,
How fast do you have to be going to do that?
500. Yeah, it's pretty
Nate just
interesting.
did the math real quick.
Yeah,
in
you
his
can
head.
you can figure out the math. It's pretty simple math. But yeah, so something like that. Yeah, maybe. So, anyways, leave your comments if you have some questions. If you have really good questions that I didn't address or
I have
talk
one.
about, go ahead.
Did you use steel or aluminum rods in this thing?
Oh, we did use a steel rod in this. I didn't need to use, it wasn't, this way ain't on gasoline. So all those
Yeah.
numbers are on intercooled gasoline. So
And it's horsepower per hole. We're not. It's not a
yeah, I mean, if you figure,
4,500 horsepower V8.
What's-
It's a.
right.
It'd be like
Yeah, how
two
yeah,
2,500
what's-
horsepower
So
V8s.
at
Yeah.
5,000 divided by 16 it's only 300 horsepower per cylinder.
Right.
So I mean that's nothing. Not in
A
real
boost
world.
line rod could probably handle that.
Well, it was a steel. It was built at Steel Oliver's and Oliver rod. Yep. No, I'd still use a steel rod in this application. It was still meant. It was still meant to be driven around in the streets of Dubai. So that was the ultimate goal. It just never happened that I know of.
Yep.
So
I think the most amazing part about this is that, as you kept saying, the whole design process, making it work and run, but then also making the power.
right.
You know,
Yep.
yeah. I mean, you can make one run that doesn't really make a lot of power, but it at least runs, right?
Mhm.
But you hit the goal, and you basically made how many cubic inches was this thing, by the way?
Oh, it was. Let's see. So 62. It was 12.4. So 12.4 liter.
What's the bore and choke?
740 some odd cubic inches.
No, that's not right. It was bigger than that. I'm sorry. It was 13. It was 13.2. 13.2. Because it's 4,125 bore. Let's do this. Do the math here. 4.125 times 4.125 times 0.7854 times 3.75
It'd be 800.
times 16.
801.
801 cubic inch. And then
802. You can
802,
round that up to
802 cubic inch.
So because of the big black Hemi, that is no
Oh.
longer the biggest engine that we built.
Yeah, the big black Hemi over there, which is going to be getting put in the boat. That's why it's still here. He's actually coming to put it in the boat and needs my help doing that, and then go out on the water and test it. So that's why it's here
Be looking for that video.
still. So that's 903 cubic inches. So yeah, that's bigger than this. So
Wow.
yep,
Wow.
it makes more horsepower per cylinder.
Yeah.
Yeah, than what this does.
Which is a good thing because that's less load on the engine and it lasts longer.
Yeah, this makes more horsepower and less load on the engine than that big black Hemi or any kind of 900 cubic inch motor. Yeah, we can make everything here for the V-16 now,
Except for the crank and the cam.
except for the crankshaft and camshaft. I'm not going to bother doing that, but yeah, and I know how to, we'd make it better. We'd make it into a V-16 SMX, SMX teen.
Dry deck.
16 with an X. 16. The SM16, huh?
Yeah. Oh, I was just saying dry deck.
Yeah, dry deck. Yeah, I mean it'd be.
You could
yeah.
force the water right through that big long one-piece cylinder head. Could we do it in one piece?
Yeah.
With our machines? Yeah.
Yeah, we can do it. Yeah, we can do everything now. One piece heads. That's why I said earlier I would do it in one piece head now, just because we can.
Now,
At the time we couldn't.
Now, would you keep the bore spacing the same across all 8 cylinders on each side, or would you do the same thing you did here and have a bore space in the center and have the center
I don't
across?
know.
Because I feel like having the thrust bearing in the center is probably beneficial for this.
I think it could be beneficial too, but there's not a lot of forward push on a crankshaft like this. But I would probably keep it pretty close to the way it is. I don't know. I have to think about it now.
Well, if it wouldn't be an issue, then it might be cooler to have the thrust bearing in the back and the bore spacing the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Save yourself some room.
Yeah, and make the
If
engine a little
possible.
bit shorter.
Yeah, I don't think it would need it. So.
Or you could do the rollarized thrust in the front.
Well, I would do it exactly the same. It'd have rollarized thrust in the front and still have the back. So it'd just be a bunch more cylinders in there. But it's not exactly that easy to do before you get all over on me. And would I do it in a quad cam? Only if somebody paid me to do it. I'm not building anything for the purpose of trying to sell it. I don't want to build it. I have done the whole deal where if I build it, they will come, field of dreams kind of crap. Does not work in business. That's not the way it works. I build it, they do not come. Okay.
It's a business model for failure.
Yes. The people come and pay for it, then I'll build it. Okay. So anybody wants to build a 1,000 cubic inch V-16 Coyote, I will make it happen. But
please, some
don't
rich
ask.
person in Dubai,
do
please.
not. Yes. Do
It'd
not
be
ask.
so much fun.
Do not ask how much it's going to be, because it's a lot.
$20 million.
It is. Well, that's how much Volkswagen would charge you.
Right.
I would charge less.
Well, yeah, give them a
20
discounted price off of the
I'd give you a
20%
discounted
off.
price from Volkswagen. I have a smaller engineering staff.
Yeah. Our overhead is a little bit less than Volkswagen.
My overhead is less. So, anyways, any questions? Did you have more comments?
Comments. Snoop Dogg pre-ordered one. Sorry, Snoop, you haven't gotten your car.
Hit us up if you want an engine, though.
Yeah, for sure. The Devel 16 wasn't a Drake music video. It was popping off online for a long time, a couple years, and then unfortunately kind of just went away. So fingers crossed that whole deal will maybe come back. But
So the expectations of what they set the expectations at were so astronomically high. They couldn't come out with something that sucked. And I think that the aspirations were so high, you just couldn't make it happen.
But the engine guy delivered.
I delivered. That's right. We delivered. Well, Joe wasn't here.
Yeah, I wasn't a part. I didn't deliver
Joe didn't
anything.
deliver crap.
I was just drooling over at the PRI show.
And And Kyle was 13 years old putting cylinder heads on it and
By himself, that big,
by himself. Yeah.
that big giant.
To get in there and degree that camshaft, Kyle. No. So nah, I didn't do that.
I don't know. You might have.
No, I didn't do it. You didn't know how to do that. So, anyways, make sure you leave comments, likes, share, subscribe. You guys need to hit that god darn notification button so you get notified, because not a lot. It's amazing how much stuff people don't know that we do. We got, we're gonna do like a cool winners and a winner circle kind of thing, because we have the V-16 drag and drive records, more drag and drive records than any engine builder, period. Not just talking about the biggest, fastest, and bestest. I'm talking about all classes. So we are really nail it there. Devel 16, Streamliner, world's fastest piston engine, world's most powerful V16, sand, boat, off-road buggies. Would like to, and I'm trying to work through a Baja 1000 program using my SMX NA. A lot of cool stuff. We do a lot of different things. Ford, Chevy, Chrysler, Lamborghini program for a little while.
Big giant Hemis for boat, for jet skis.
Big giant Hemis for jet skis. All sorts of neat stuff. Don't forget to, remember, we have a giveaway going on the Dream 454 Supercharged LS. Your dream engine. That thing's bad. Make sure you go over to our website, check that out. Just click on the front page. It'll take you to our merch page. You got all the rules and regulations there. No purchase necessary. But make sure you go over there and get some merch, because it is a really solid engine. It has a great story about the engine. It's not just some engine we just built so we could give it away. As a matter of fact, it is the 180-degree opposite of we built this to give away. It's a long story. I tell you the whole story in the video. So go over there, look at it, check that all out. It's super cool. Anyways, I'm Steve Morris.
I'm Kyle Morris.
Double A Joe.
Have a great day.